Hello everyone. So this is a beginner's guide to understand peptides. Okay. So if you have been hearing words like semaglutide, tresapetide, retatrutide, BPC-157, GHK-Cu, TB500, MOTS-C, and wondering what are peptides, you're not alone. Today, in fact, if you look at it, peptides are there everywhere and people don't have clarity about it. And that's why I'm doing this video. Some people call them as the future of medicine. Some people even believe that this is future of anti-aging, and athletes use them for recovery. Doctors use some of them for obesity and diabetes. For example, Ozempic is a peptide, that is semaglutide. Mounjaro is a tresapetide, which is a peptide. Even insulin is a peptide. Okay, so researchers are basically investigating them for multiple purposes, starting from wound healing, brain health, longevity, immune function, and even regenerative medicine. But the problem is, if you look at YouTube or whatever, the videos immediately start talking about individual peptides and you do not have much idea. So before you can understand what peptide does for you, you first need to understand how your body works, because peptides don't create new biology. They simply communicate with the biology that is already existing. So that is why today, let's build that foundation from the scratch. And in the upcoming sessions, I'll start discussing peptides 1, peptides 2, like that GHK-Cu, MOTS-C, whatever peptide is required. See, just imagine your body as a massive city. And inside the city, there are trillions of workers. And some are muscle cells, some are brain cells, some are immune cells, some are liver cells, and some are skin cells. And every second, millions of jobs are happening simultaneously in that city. Your heart is beating, your lungs are breathing, and your liver is detoxifying, right? Your immune system is searching for infections, and your muscles are repairing themselves after yesterday's workout. Now imagine this. What would happen if none of these workers could communicate each other? See, the construction workers wouldn't know where to repair. Then what is the purpose, right? The firefighters, they don't know where the fire is. Fire is there, but they don't know where the fire is. The police wouldn't know where the emergency is. Or the city, in fact, what will happen? The city would slowly fall apart, right? If these are issues, but the ones which are supposed to solve these issues don't know what exactly the issue or where the issue. So that is when you struggle. So exactly the same thing happen inside your human body also. The body basically depends on these connections and interlinks and the communication. Every organ, every tissue, every cell in your body is consistently or constantly sending and receiving messages. And one of the most important messenger is a group of molecules which is called as peptides. So peptides are basically messengers. Now let's simplify the science. Proteins are built from amino acids, and think of amino acids as individual lego blocks. Okay, so connect a few lego blocks together and you can create a peptide. That's it. So connect hundreds of them together, you create protein. So structurally, a peptide is simply a short chain amino acid, but the definition doesn't explain why peptides are so important. Their important come from what they actually do in your body. Your body manufactures thousands of different peptides every single day, and each one carries some specific message. So one peptide tell your pancreas to release insulin, right? Another peptide is telling your stomach to that you are full, don't eat more, right? That's exactly what this Ozempic Mounjaro is also doing. And another peptide may be coordinating tissue repair after an injury. And another peptide may be influencing your sleep. Another, in fact, affecting your immune function. See, in other words, simply peptides are body's communication network. These are messages, right, that has been sent to certain receptors. I'll come to this receptor part later. See, the easiest way to understand the peptide is, you can again imagine every cell in your body has thousands of tiny locks on its surface. And these locks are called as receptors. So cells have receptors. Now imagine every peptide is uniquely shaped key for each of these receptors. Only the correct key, in fact, is going to fit the correct lock. So cells, you can consider it as they have certain thousands of locks and there are different keys. So the correct key will fit into the correct receptor, right? So every peptide is a uniquely shaped key actually. Only the correct key will come and fit into the correct lock. That means we'll activate that particular receptor. And when the right peptide that reaches the right receptor, the cell receive a message, right? So this is a receptor. There's a peptide, which is a key. This is a lock. When the right peptide reach here, the receptor is now unlocked and get that message. I hope you got this, right? Peptides reach the right receptor, and then that cell receive the message. The message could be there is an issue here, you need to start repairing that, or release any hormone, or reduce the inflammation, or increase your metabolism, or it could be related to building collagen, or maybe to produce more energy. So the peptide doesn't do, the work actually. Peptides are telling, these are messages. It simply delivers the instruction. And that's why peptides, in fact, are called as signaling molecules. So they give the signal that there is an injury in the body, you need to work here, like that. So these are messengers, these are signaling molecules. Right. Now, why not all peptides are the same? This is probably, in fact, the biggest misconception people have. People think that a peptide is a peptide. That's like saying, a medicine is a medicine. Right, it actually tells almost nothing because peptides perform completely different jobs. Look at the major categories. If you see, there are metabolic peptides. For example, suppose someone's biggest problem is obesity or insulin resistance or uncontrolled appetite, then the body doesn't need more collagen. Right, it have nothing to do with your skin or anything. It doesn't need more growth hormone. It needs better metabolic signaling. So the peptide should be related to metabolic signaling, and this is where metabolic peptides comes in picture. For example, semaglutide, your Ozempic, or tirzepatide, your Mounjaro, or the best one, the one which I use, the one which I tell my mentees or the clients to use, my family members use, my wife use, that is Retatrutide, not the semaglutide or tirzepatide. Because Retatrutide not only work on GLP-1, it also work on GIP, it also work on glucagon. So three different receptors, three dimension it will work. Semaglutide only control your appetite, GLP-1. Tirzepatide is better compared to semaglutide, GIP and GLP-1. Reta work on GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon. So what these peptides primarily do is they reduce the appetite, blood sugar regulation, insulin sensitivity will control, and body weight will be controlled. So instead of forcing the body to burn fat, what they do is they improve the signals that actually regulate hunger and metabolism. So this is what the metabolic peptides will do. Now there are different categories like healing peptides. See, imagine a completely different person. This person is not struggling with overweight. They are recovering from a tendon injury. For example, I had an injury here on my shoulder. Here there was a tear when I played volleyball once, and when I smashed, I got a tear here. And I was recommended for this arthroscopic surgery and all. Right, so there is a ligament tear, or there can be a chronic inflammation. Now what the body needs is a different set of instructions. So there are peptides like BPC-157, TB500, and KPV. I just use BPC-157 and TB500 and that injury is gone. There is no need of arthroscopic surgery or anything. I'm not saying it is not required, but in my case, it worked out. And there are many of my friends also. My friend's mom, she had a knee injury, knee issue. In fact, the doctors recommended for a knee replacement surgery also. But after using it for a couple of months, that issue is solved. Similarly, KPV, that is for inflammation. This is becoming interesting, right? In fact, these peptides are being investigated for their role for supporting tissue repair. It is under research only, but it worked for me. One of my friend who had a tear here, while doing the bench press, doctors recommended for rest and medicine for almost 6 months, but he used it for 45 days and it's solved. So these are having such kind of reducing inflammation and tissue repair capacity, right? Improving recovery. So different problem, this one, different messenger. That is what you need to understand. So different peptides as different messengers are different signaling molecules, work on different receptors. Even obesity itself, I've told you three, right? If you talk about semaglutide, it is GLP-1. If I talk about tirzepatide, it's GLP and GIP. If I talk about retatrutide, it triggers three receptors. Now comes this growth hormone peptide. Now imagine someone whose recovery has slowed, right? So muscle gains have stalled and sleep is not as restorative. So instead of injecting growth hormone directly, there are some peptides, right, that stimulate your own pituitary gland to release more growth hormone naturally. See, growth hormone is different. Growth hormone peptide is different. Growth hormone means you are directly injecting growth hormone. When I say growth hormone peptide, you are injecting this peptide. These are signaling molecule which will tell your pituitary gland to produce your own growth hormone. On the other hand, when you're directly injecting growth hormone, directly it is gone. Right, so here growth hormone peptide examples are like CJC1295, ipamorelin, ceramorelin, right, tesamorelin. So you can see the pattern here. Every peptide actually is solving some different biological problem. And then comes my favorite peptides. That's mitochondrial and longevity peptides. This is one step deeper. See, every cell in your body contains tiny structures called as mitochondria. These are energy powerhouses, right? These are the power plants of your cells, and they convert nutrients into energy. So as we age, mitochondrial function gradually decline. That means less energy, slower recovery, your performance will come down. And researchers are studying peptides like MOTS-C. MOTS-C is my favorite, SS31, epithalon, GHK-Cu. Basically, these are mitochondria, in fact, supporting the mitochondrial health and cellular repair and help in anti-aging. In fact, one of the most exciting areas of peptides, which are under research today. Then comes brain peptide. I use this, and this actually helped me in my trading consultation, because I have to take session from morning 9 o'clock till 3 o'clock in a stretch. Continuous commentary I have to give. I have to take trades my own. I have to explain those. I have to teach my mentees. So I need to be very much, agile, and that concentration is required. So I take the Cmax and Celang. This is actually targeting, brain, right? So whatever we discuss now, in fact, targeting muscles, but now this one is targeting a brain, Cmax and Celang. And these are basically studied for improving focus, learning, cognitive performance, anxiety regulation, and mental resilience. Because the brain has its own signaling system. And just like any other organ, those systems again can potentially be influenced by the peptides. Peptides are giving those signals, brain also function accordingly, and it is improving your functioning. Right? Now the question is, why most of the peptides are injected? This is a question that I hear all the time. If peptides are so good, why can't I just take them as tablet? The issue is your digestive system is designed to break proteins apart. If most peptides are swallowed, then the stomach enzymes simply digest them into an individual amino acid. So they never reach the destination, they never reach the receptor. So injection, what happens, that bypasses the digestive system. And that's why many peptide therapies use a subcutaneous injection. But there are exceptions. Some peptides are intentionally designed, designed for oral use also, and others are used for nasal sprays also. See, the delivery method depends entirely on where the peptides need to work. Okay, see, here is something which most of the people don't realize. Peptides are not new. It is there everywhere. It is there from 100 years. Insulin, one of the oldest and most important medicine in history. Insulin itself is a peptide hormone. Doctors have been using peptides-based medicine for over a century also. So why is everyone suddenly talking about them? Because the modern science have learned how to engineer peptides. Scientists can now make peptides which can last longer in the body. It can reach specific tissues. It can activate multiple receptors. It can make you more productive. It can heal your injuries faster. It can help in anti-aging, and it can produce stronger and more sustained effects. And that's why today's peptide therapies are very different from those which were available decades ago. Now the question is, who should actually think about peptides? This is the most important lesson in this video. See, peptides are not magic. They cannot replace healthy living. You imagine trying to build a house. If the foundation is cracked, then adding expensive paint is not going to fix it, right? So the same principle applies to your human body also. If you are sleeping only for 4 hours every night, and you are eating ultra processed food, and you are not doing any exercise, and you are chronically stressed, no peptide is going to solve these problems. Peptides work best when the foundation is already strong. And what is that foundation? It's quality sleep, it's resistance training, it's about good nutrition, it's about adequate protein, healthy body composition, and stress management. Peptides enhance biology. They do not replace biology. One of the biggest shift which is actually happening in medicine is moving from replacing function to restoring communication. Right? This is a future of medicine. You don't want to replace. As I told you, growth hormone, I don't want to replace. I can restore the communication. I can make myself to produce it. So instead of asking what drug blocked this disease, now the researchers are increasingly asking, how do we restore the body's natural signaling pathway with this signaling molecule. If there is any hindrance, let's stop that or solve that and make it natural. And that is why peptides become so fascinating. You're not doing it extra, additional, not external. It is asking your body to produce your own hormones or whatever. They in fact don't simply force the body to do something, right? Many of these peptides, if you see, they are working by helping the body to communicate more effectively with itself. It is actually improving that signaling part. It is effectively improving the communication signal. And that may represent one of the biggest changes in modern medicine over the coming decades. So what are peptides? They are not miracle drugs. They are not magic injections. They are not shortcuts. They are biological messengers. These are tiny chains of amino acids carrying instruction from one cell to another. Some regulate appetite, some support tissue repair, some